Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today I'm going to share a DIY project that I did last week. I've had my eye on the Anthropologie Minka textured pots. I love them. I just love the way they look. They are a bit on the pricey side, and the last time I checked, they don't even have them until like late August at this point. So they're quite popular, and I thought I can gather up some craft supplies and maybe come up with my own version of this. So I decided to go ahead and give it a try using this pot from Walmart that I picked up recently. Just a quick tip, if you are struggling with removing the residue from a price tag or a sticker, you can use a little bit of lemon oil and it will come right off every time. I battled the wind a little bit on this one, but I was determined to get this done in one day. So this was the time I had to work on it, so I wanted to go ahead and get started on it. I started with a couple of coats of the textured spray paint, and this just allowed me to create a surface that the spackling would be able to stick to later on. For the beads, I just used some oven-baked clay. This worked really well. You could also use air-dry clay, but I just wanted to get it done quickly. And with air-dry clay, you have to wait quite a long time for it to actually set up. So this way I was able to roll these out with Audrey's help and then bake them for about 15 minutes. I think all of the clay varies, so just read the packaging to see how long you're supposed to bake it. But for me, it took about 15 minutes to get these finished. And as we were rolling them out, we were careful to not make them look perfect. I looked at the Minka pots really closely, and one of the things that makes them so unique is they're handcrafted and they're all unique. Like no two pots look the same, and so the little beads on there are not perfectly round. They're different sizes and they're kind of smushed in a little bit in places, and that's kind of what adds to the character of the overall look. So that's what we tried to recreate here with the clay, and it actually turned out okay. So to create that fun texture on the actual pot itself, I used vinyl spackling. I always have this on hand because it's what I use to like fill in nail holes when I'm touching up paint throughout the house, things like that. So we always seem to have it on hand. So I grabbed that and just started slathering it all around the outside of the flower pot using a putty knife. The textured coating on the pot that I did first was a huge help because it really helped the spackling to kind of adhere better to the pot so it's not sliding around everywhere. So I definitely wouldn't skip that step if you're going to do this as well. But it was a lot of fun because, you know, the whole idea is not to make it perfect. So there were some areas that I put it on a little thicker than others, and then some of the areas that were more thin, you could kind of see that texture coming through from the spray paint. And so it really worked out well, and it was a lot of fun too.
I'm gonna let the sun shine in today.
I wanted to make sure to carry the spackling up and over the top edges just to give it that pretty crafted look. And I did that by just kind of paying extra attention at the end here to the top surface. And then I was able to kind of wipe away the excess so it wasn't falling down into the inside of the pot. To add a little bit of a patterned, textured look to the pot, I used an old cleaning towel that I had. It had the kind of striped pattern in it, and so I just took that and used it sort of like a stamp into the spackling before it had time to dry, and I just kind of randomly went around and did a little bit here, a little bit there until I got it like I liked it. It took a few minutes, but it was a lot of fun too, and I think, you know, adding that little bit of pattern really made the difference in the overall look of how it turned out.
And I will try to fix what has been broken and take this weight off my shoulders, 'cause I know yesterday ain't coming back. I'm gonna let the past stay in the cold. I will listen to the ocean, let its unsaid words be spoken, and I'll let my mind be carried by the waves. Oh, I will open up my eyes so I can see the
The beads were finished baking and were cooled down way quicker than it took for the spackling to dry, especially the thicker areas on the pot where I put the spackling. It took way longer to dry than I thought, so I ended up kind of putting it by the wood stove, and that sort of sped up the process, but I definitely had to wait a few hours before I could move on to the next step of attaching the beads to the side. Now, originally I was going to use the tacky glue to do this, but it just would not adhere. I don't know what I was thinking. I thought that would work well, and it really just didn't. But I did have a hot glue gun, so I pulled the hot glue gun out, and that seemed to work fine. It's just what I had on hand. Super glue may be a better option, I'm not sure, but this seemed to work for now.
Oh, and I'll try to spread my wings so I can fly.
I will say with the hot glue, you could kind of see the glue in behind each of the beads. There was just really no way to avoid that. I had to put enough glue on there to hold them, but it really wasn't a big deal because I was planning to paint it anyway, so that part didn't bother me. If you wanted to keep the pot white, that might be an issue, so you may have to rethink, what kind of glue that you want to use, but like I said, it really wasn't a big deal because I was going to paint it anyway. Because I wanted the pot to have a matte finish, I went with a chalk paint, spray paint. I believe it was by Rust-Oleum, just in a creamy shade. It turned out really pretty. I didn't want the pot to be like a stark white, but I didn't want it to be dark either. It would also be really pretty to follow this up with a little bit of antique wax. I think that would be really pretty, kind of add an aged look to the pot, but I really like how it turned out. I'm actually pretty surprised that I like it as well as I do. I thought it would be a disaster, but I was going to try anyway. But I really like the way it turned out. It adds a nice little splash of character here in our foyer, and I'll probably be moving it all around the house. I'm constantly moving things around, but for now, it has found a home right here on our little hallway table in the foyer. I would love to know in the comments, have you ever tried to recreate something that you've seen that you'd like to have, but it's kind of pricey and you think you can kind of mimic that yourself? I would love to hear about it. This has kind of opened my eyes to thinking more outside the box and thinking of other things I can create that I've seen that I like rather than just running out and buying it. So let me know in the comments if that's you. And also, I just want to say thank you for watching. I really appreciate all of you. It means a lot that you're here. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing so you don't miss out on future videos. I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. Bye.